What's up, everybody? This is Jay, and this is the Walking Dead Season 3 Recap Review. First, I want to thank everybody that support my work at patreon.com/Jaymoorereviews. I really appreciate all your support. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And if you enjoy the video, please like the video. Let's get into it. Walking Dead Season 3. It starts off with Rick and the cast and the crew. They all move into the prison that was right next to them under their nose. Now, a lot of people don't want to go into prison and break out, but they actually broke into prison. They devised a little plan, a little strategy where they would all get back to back and they would all move in and kick ass and take names along the way. And so they got T-Dog and Daryl and Rick and Glenn and Maggie. They all go inside the prison. It's guards in there. They're still in their riot gear. They decide they got to take everybody out as much as they can to clear out a certain amount of space. And so they go in. They find a way to go up under the helmets to get them. They get inside the prison, and as they're going, they had to fight through a lot. I mean, the prison was overran with a bunch of zombies, and so it must have been some type of maximum prison or something, because I mean, it was packed. And so Maggie, everybody was taking him out. T-Dog, of course, he had to get a little neck respect. A little zombie bit him along the back of his neck. Then he was down for the count. And so while everybody is clearing everything out and moving in, they see that it's a mess in there. It's pretty dirty, but they ain't got nothing but time. So they all move in, and they see they got walls to protect them. Maggie is almost getting ready to pop. That baby, that bun in the oven's about due. And so they really can't keep running around. As they clear out the rest of the prison, they come across some inmates that was held in there. And they had this one crazy vato loco, and he had the pistola pointed at him. So, you know, they was deciding, should we kill these dudes or can we work with them? They had this big swole one with a little pool stick. He turned out to be Big Tiny. And so they was trying to tell the prisoners how to kill the guards, kill the zombies, but they wasn't listening. They punching them, stabbing them in the gut. And Big Tiny, the big dude, he ended up getting bit on the back of the neck. He got scared. The biggest one, he got scared. And so once they was like, hey man, there's nothing we could do for you. You've been bit. They was trying to tell him. Next thing you know, Vato Loco, he just stabbed and chopped him up like it was, you know, nothing, like he was roast beef. And so they noticed he was a problem. He tried to swing at him a couple times, push a zombie on Rick, and so Rick pretty much knew this dude can't be trusted, and he straight gave him an old school part down the middle of his head with the machete. And then the other little brother, he was scared. He decided to run off, and T-Dog and everybody was trying to, you know, keep him in line, you know, for the little bit of time T-Dog did have left. And so once they killed all the prisoners except for this one big dude and this white dude, he like, man, I ain't gonna beg for my life. And so Rick let him live just to see how he was gonna play out. Meanwhile, Maggie and Glenn, they outside getting a little comfy. Their relationship is growing. Their love is growing strong. It seemed like the end of the world improved Glenn's life. And Rick and Lori are having difficulties getting along, and Rick can't really talk to her, and she knows that she ain't that good of a wife. Then we come across Andrea. See, at the end of season 2, when the farm went down, she got separated. They thought that she was killed when a zombie fell on her. She actually survived, but she had a hard time. She was damn near about to die in the woods when this woman with 2 zombies chained up like pets and a ninja sword saved her ass, chopped up a couple zombies in the lunch meat, and next thing you know, they was on the way, and she was using them zombies to carry all her supplies, which is pretty smart. That way she don't get tired carrying a bunch of supplies, and they don't need food or water or nothing. They just keep walking, and she cut their mouth and their arms off so they can't scratch or bite her. While they was investigating this down helicopter crash, they were hiding in the woods because this other group had came there too. And while they thought they were safe, Merle saw him in the woods, of all people, and he done made his hand into a little ninja sword his damn self. And so he took them as captor and took them to the base, and they wondering where they are. They receive medical attention. Nobody's really giving them any answers. They walk outside. They look like they done woke up in Mayberry, it's like a whole town and everything together. And so they all looking around at the town, and it's looking like, regular civilization again. And so Andrea, is relieved because she used to be a lawyer, and so she used to have a Mercedes, she said in season 1, all of that. So she happy. She meet the guy that runs it. He's called the governor, and so she's starting to get soft on him. Maybe she could be the Lori to his Rick. And so the whole time, though, the black girl name is Michonne. She's not feeling it. She doesn't trust them at all. She's not sipping the Kool-Aid. They end up having some scientist there, Milton Merle. He's talking to him, and Andrea's falling all into it. But we start to learn maybe this governor isn't who he says he was, because we see them go to some military dudes, and they come waving the white flag, and as soon as the military guys let their guard down, they kill them all and take their supplies. They come back and tell everybody these guys were heroes. They were dead. They died defending this and that. Good thing we got the supplies, knowing damn well he lied. And then we see him brushing his daughter's hair, but then we realize when she's fighting, his daughter's a zombie. He doesn't get that she's dead, and he's sitting there trying to brush her hair. A patch of her head came out, and he's still trying to do, he's like, calm down. And so he puts her back in the cage, and then he goes to watch TV, except his TV is nothing but getting head. And so it's all these heads in the fish tank that he's watching half alive, and we see this dude has got a problem. Michonne, after doing more investigating and snooping around, comes across a room where they had zombies in a cage. She opens the cage and just kills them all. That pissed them off, and they were ready to kick her out for that. Meanwhile, back at the prison, we see Pops. He's Bob Evans. Herschel, he got bit by a zombie while they were trying to go and clear out stuff, and so they think fast. Rick acts fast, and he chops his leg off from the bite mark, and they actually put a lot of stuff into trying to save his life, and it turns out effective because Herschel survives, but he got a peg leg with a kickstand. Meanwhile, they're all outside, and the alarms and stuff is going off, and they don't know what's going on. It brought the zombies. Lori and Carl got separated, and everybody got separated, and then next thing you know, Lori's about to have the baby, and it's just Lori, Maggie, and Carl. She like, look, I can't push the baby out. Look for my C-section scar. You're going to have to cut it out. They like, but if we do that, you'll bleed to death. She like, I know, but I can't let the baby die. And so they basically, Maggie cuts that C-section scar open, follow the dotted line, and pulls the baby out. And Carl, she like, Carl, let Maggie do it. You can't do it. And so Carl, she wanted Maggie to kill her, not Carl. But Maggie chickened out and couldn't do it, and Carl had to shoot his own mama in the head. I mean, that was really hard, and it's a hard scene. And then Maggie, she comes out, and she's got the baby and everything, and you see Glenn, and everybody's wondering what happened, and Rick is like, where's Maggie? And then he finds out she's dead, and he breaks down. He holds the baby a little bit eventually, but Rick is just having a really hard time. Shane always said you wouldn't be able to protect her, and now she's dead, and he just feels like a failure. He goes looking for the body. He can't find the body, and then he sees some of her clothes, and then he sees this zombie that pigged out on a Lori Delight. And so Rick is just really mad. He's mad this zombie that killed his wife and ate her, and he digs in his stomach to see if there's any pieces left. It's not. Then the phone ring. He's talking to somebody. He's really just tweaking out. Meanwhile, we come across this new group. There's a black dude, Tyrese, and his sister Sasha, and they had a couple other people with them, and they break into prison trying to get away. They didn't know that it was people in the prison. Carl hears what's going on. He goes and checks it out. He leads them to safety, but he still locks them up where they can't harm them. The people, Tyrese and them that they were with, they want to take over and take Carl and people's weapons, and they like, nah, they were nice to us, let's not do that. And so meanwhile, we see Beth. She's taking care of the baby while Rick is on a tweak out. And they like, look, we can't decide if you stay until Rick comes back. Rick comes back and is talking to him, but he's starting to have visions of Lori. He sees her above them and he tweaks out, and they thought he was going to shoot him, so they run. Meanwhile, back with Andrea, and we see she's with the guy, the governor. They sipping on a little drink or whatever. She trying to get loose. The governor is riling up everybody, telling them all kind of stuff about it's going to be some entertainment tonight and this and that. Then Andrea was thinking about leaving, but he talks her into staying. Meanwhile, Michonne, she's ready to leave. She leaves. And so the entertainment is some battle royale zombie fight. And they got Merle and the Mexican dude there, and Rodriguez, and so Martinez, and so they all fighting, and they got the zombies around. Merle doing push-ups one-handed on his little nub, and so they all starting to fight or whatever. And so she's like, "What are you doing? This isn't right. This you're making them look like they're not dangerous, and they are." And he like, "This is just entertainment for the people. We took all the teeth out. They can't harm them." Meanwhile, the next day, the governor sent Merle and the crew to hunt Michonne down, and they see body parts spelling "go back home." And so they still trying to fight. Michonne jump out the woods, chop off a little head here or there, left dude schlong swinging in the wind. And so the other dude is tweaked out, and then she jumps and starts fighting Merle, and they go in a hand-to-hand knife fight. She gets away. They didn't kill each other, and then she had to slice open the zombie, and all the zombie guts and blood spilt all on her, real gross like. And so Merle is looking for her, and they around this little grocery store, and all of a sudden Merle bumps into Maggie and Glenn, and so they don't trust him. They knew he was an asshole, and so they holding him at gunpoint. And he like, "Hey, where's my brother? You gonna take me to see my brother?" And so they like, "You wait right here, and we'll bring you back." And I mean, I wouldn't have trusted him either. Look, he's all bloody in his face and got a damn knife, bayonet hand, and so he ends up getting the drop on him anyway. And then he says, "Look, you coming with me?" And he basically kidnaps them and brings them back to Newberry, which was the place they was at. And so Michonne saw everything that happened. She saw they had baby food and they left it behind. She takes the baby food, brings it to the prison, and standing there all bloody next to zombies, Rick sees her and lets her in. And so Rick is talking to her, "Where'd you get that food? Where's everybody?" And she's real tight-lipped. She ain't really speaking much. And so he's trying to wonder what's going on or whatever. And then she tells him they people was taken. And so now we see Merle. He's asking Glenn, "Where's my brother? Where's your camp?" This and that. And the governor wanted him to find out. And so he starts beating the hell out of Glenn, just beating him down. Glenn is still staying tough. He's not saying anything. And so then Merle's pissed, so he decides to let a biter in there. He lets a walker in there while he was taped in the chair. But Glenn has learned how to fight, and he's going to fight for his love for Maggie. And so he ends up getting free. The biter bites the duct tape, but it saved his ass. And he ends up killing the biter and breaking the chair, and he's ready for war. And meanwhile, in the other room, the governor done got Maggie top off, got the tickle bitties hanging out. He rubbing all on her, brushing up against her. She ready to cry. And then he brings her in there to Glenn. And so he's mad. He about to cry. He upset that he thinks that she been raped. They about to put a bag over their head and kill him. He's just saying, "Just look at me. Just look at me." And somehow they were able to, because they were attacked or whatever different things, they were able to not be killed right then. But they still ain't out of the fire. Meanwhile, Michonne is leading Debo and Rick and Daryl into the camp so that they can rescue their people. Once they get in, they see that the camp was actually a nice place and stuff, but they still don't trust it. They sneaking around, they looking for their people, and while they were doing that, Michonne dipped off, and so they think that she left them or abandoned them. And so they still trying to get to where they people are. They shooting and everything, causing a commotion. Debo got popped in the commotion and got killed, and governor and everybody is out there shooting, and even Andrea comes out there shooting. But she only could make out Debo, and she didn't know him. So she like, yeah, they were wearing prison uniforms. And meanwhile, Michonne was sitting in the governor's house waiting in the chair for him nice and comfortably. And then she heard a noise. She goes in the room and sees his dirty little secret. The head's in the water, and then sees his daughter. She thought it was a daughter prisoner at first. And she like, this damn dude has got zombie babies. And so right when she had zombie baby, she was going to chop her head off or kill him. Then the governor came in. He begged her don't do it, but she stabs her and kills her anyway. And so he's mad. He ready to fight, kill, because you killed his daughter in his mind, even though he was really sap of the month for thinking that. And so she biting his finger. He jammed and rammed her face into the heads. The heads were still trying to bite her and stuff. And she ends up grabbing a piece of the glass and jams it into his eye. And so when she jammed that glass into his eye, it was enough to make him let her go. And then he decided he wanted to rock his baby to sleep since she was dead. And so Michonne escaped, but the governor, he's still alive. And so now he got one eye, he got his eye on them, and he's upset now about, Michonne, and they ruined his camp. And so now it became a battle between Rick and the governor, left eye against both eyes. And so we'll see how that played out, because now the governor has got a hateful vengeance streak. And then what he does is he ends up blaming it on Merle. He had him out there in front of everybody, and he say, we know who it was. It was one of our own. His brother was right here attacking us. And so they all realizing what's going on, and now Merle and Daryl, they like, so what's this all about? And Merle start fighting them, and then he like, man, we about to get out of here. And so they fighting or whatever. They try to throw some zombies on them. They end up, Rick and everybody throw some tear gas. They get out of there and escape, and they live to fight another day. But the problem is nobody likes Merle. He's done too much wrong. And so while they in the woods, Daryl like, look, he's not coming. He's coming or I'm staying. And so they ended up wanting Daryl to come, but he stayed with Merle and didn't go back. Meanwhile, we see Glenn found a ring from a zombie and gave it to Maggie to propose for marriage. Oh, meanwhile, Rick, he's decided with Michonne and Carl to go and look for more weapons because he realized they are outmanned and outgunned. So he goes back to the town that he came from. And once he gets there, he sees all this stuff in the street, zombie traps, all kind of stuff. And they wondering, what the hell's going on? Somebody's been here real busy. And then somebody starts shooting at him. And then we realize it was Morgan. Morgan is still there. And so he's shooting at them or whatever. He tell them to leave their weapons and stuff and go. And so right before they did that, they put their hands up, and then they both start shooting at him. And Michonne makes a break for it to go and get him. And so while she's doing that, he came down, and Carl ended up shooting him and knocking him out. And so, because he had body armor, so they take him to his room. They see all this crazy stuff written on the wall, and then he sees that he wrote that his son was bit, and then he sees a whole arsenal of weapons, and so they know he done cleared out all the guns, so they start getting all the guns and stuff. And then he comes to while Rick is getting stuff, and he attacks Rick, and then we realize this dude done lost all his marbles. He done tweaked all the way out. He just looking like a tweaker for real, talking about just kill me, kill me. This is not real. You didn't answer the phone. You didn't there. You wasn't there. And he all tweaking about how his wife, he didn't kill her, and that she ended up biting his son. And so Rick and him start talking. He ended up stabbing Rick, trying to get away and different things. And so they ended up cooling out, and he ended up talking to Morgan calmly, but Morgan refused to go with him. And we saw that Carl and Michonne, he went and broke into this little cafe they used to go to get the picture, the last picture of his mom. He said, man, I believe Judith, that's their baby, should know what her mom looked like, which was actually kind of smart. And so on the way home, they all are quiet and they just reflecting on what just happened. Once they get back, Michonne is starting to bond with Rick. She even gave him a razor, said, hey man, your face is losing the wool, bruh. And so back at the Newberry camp, they realizing, hey, All these people are saying, what happened? I thought we were safe. These people tried to shoot us and this and that. And so everybody's scared. They all getting worked up and riled up. And now it's a zombie break coming through. A couple zombies came through. They all getting scared. And then the governor just walks out, blast one in the head in front of everybody, and then just walks away. And so everybody's scared, tweaking out and everything. Meanwhile, back at the prison, they feeling secure. They got more weapons and everything. But Rick is tweaking hard. He's outside the gates thinking he saw Lori talking to her. He's just wandering all day. And meanwhile, they don't realize that these people at the other camp are mobilized. They're angry. They got the weapons, the vehicles, then they're on the way. And so they all come through. They get all mobilized. Sasha and Tyrese don't want to shoot other people, so they stay. Then they all bust through the camp. They knock down some of the gates. They got the 50 caliber machine gun. They blowing up the tower. They got all kind of stuff. And so they ended up being able to defend these guys, though. And so they start shooting back and everything. And the people at the camp, a few of them got killed or whatever the case. But the people that was defending the place, Carol, Daryl, and all of those guys, even Rick, they were all able to hold them off. So now Lori, being the attorney, is trying to bring these two groups together and negotiate a deal because she liked them both. And so they ended up coming to work out a deal, the governor and Rick, at a neutral location over a little drink. And so the governor already had weapons set up. He was going to ambush Rick if he had the opportunity. Meanwhile, we see back at the camp, Tyrese and Sasha trying to get better at shooting, and the negotiation didn't go as well as Andrea had hoped. And the governor actually told Rick, hey, give us Michonne and we'll let you go. But Rick not really sure about that. Andrea decides she needs to leave when she found out that the governor wasn't going to hold his side of the bargain and was going to set him up anyway, no matter what. And so when the governor finds out, he plays it off like it's cool she left, but really he's furious and he goes hunting for her. She's fighting for her life to get away. She's fighting through the woods, killing zombies. She got to make it all the way to the prison on foot from that town. And so the governor's close to her. He's found her inside this building, and right before she can wave to Rick at the prison, he catches her, and she never gets to give them the warning. And then he takes her back into this torture area that he had, and he's prepared to torture her now. And the guy, Milton Merle, he made him try to help, and he said, kill her or you gonna die. And so she had to be like Daniel Day-Lewis, use her left foot to escape. And meanwhile, he shot Milton Merle and let him turn. He said, either way, you gonna kill her. Either you gonna turn and kill her or you gonna kill her now. And so he basically turned. And so we see that Merle, he ended up, Rick told him about what the governor said, but the Rick didn't do it. And Merle took it upon himself that I'm going to take Michonne in on my own because Rick ain't got the guts. And so while he's trying to take her, she almost got bit by some zombies while he was trying to hotwire a car. And so she's talking to him and saying, look, all you is a garbage man. You had a chance for a fresh start to be somebody, and all you want to do is people's dirty work. You better than that. You shouldn't have did that. And so she basically got in his head, made him realize he was being used and played by the governor. And so he pissed. He got him a little drink to drink on. He got the music bumping in the car. The zombies is following him. He driving slow, 2 miles an hour, so all the zombies see him. And so once he gets into the position of where the meeting is and all the zombies break out, now that they shooting at the zombies, he blends in the gunfire, start taking out their people. But the governor saw him. They end up having a fight. The governor ends up killing Merle and shooting him in the chest. It's, bittersweet because Merle was an asshole, but he could have been somebody better, just like his brother. Daryl looks for Merle because he was thinking maybe Michonne, he would have took her in or she killed him. He finds Merle was shot. He's heartbroken. That was his brother. And we had learned they was actually going to rob the camp if Merle would have came back off the roof in season 1. So Daryl had to be the one to put Merle out of his misery. Daryl had became a changed man and a good person, and it was hurtful for him to see that his brother had went that way too. Back at the prison, they still sitting there, half on guard, half not. And then one more time, the governor leads an attack on them. And so this time they aren't there. They let them come right on in. And so everybody, they shoot a little bit or whatever, but they lead them into a trap. And so the governor and his crew, they all inside the prison. They think maybe everybody's gone or whatever the case. And then next thing you know, it's a trap. They throwing tear gas and bombs. They shooting them, and all the people run out of there scared. And they done pissed their pants, and the governor's pissed. He's pulled over. He's like, what is this? What happened? Everybody like, man, that was a slaughter. Let's leave them alone. They don't want to bother us, this and that. They kids and women. And as they turning their back, the governor kills all of his people. He just annihilates them all. And Martinez and the other brothers sitting there, they tweaked out looking at him like, damn, he lost it. And so they scared. They get in the car with him, and he leaves. And meanwhile, we see Rick and Daryl and Michonne and Carl, and they all are still talking. He tell Carl to wait there while they go to get Andrea. And so once they get there, they tell Tyrese and Sasha what was going on. And next thing you know, they find Andrea, and she's killed Milton Merle, but he took a bite out of that neck and got a little bit of that neck juice. And so she pretty much done for him. Michonne, like, she wasn't gonna leave her, but she like, I know how the safety works. And so she ends up dying. We see Michonne getting close to Rick, saying, I understand you had to think about the deal. And he like, yeah, I thought about it too long. She said, but you didn't do it, and that's what counts. And then we see that everybody from that camp is all came on the bus, and Tyrese and everybody, and they've all joined the prison. And so now they all have a new, larger camp now. And meanwhile, the governor goes back and sees everybody's gone. He loses it completely and just burns the whole town down. He just sits there and burns it down. And so now he's just a broken man. Meanwhile, season 3, it ends up with the camp getting bigger and stronger, and the governor being a broken man. And we'll see how they are able to support all these people and how well it works out in season 4. Thanks for watching. I hope that summed it up for you. Let's see how season 4 plays out. Peace, and I'm out.